Shortly after his death, Lenin's embalmed body was brought here to lie in state forever. But this year, 87 years after the revolutionary leader died, a poll was held. 70% of respondents said it was time for Lenin to go. Opponents of the mausoleum have described its presence here as an absurdity. There have also been some strong words from religious groups. The Council of Muslims said the mummified body should be turned over to the communists for pagan worship, while the communists have described those who want to evict Lenin as tribal homegrown pygmies. Emotions are running high.
All these pyramids and mummies, they're ridiculous. Russia is an Orthodox country.
We must always remember him. If we bury him, we'll forget about him too quickly.
Whatever the outcome, the little red pyramid will remain. There's talk of turning it into a museum. Most experts agree that what's inside there is not Lenin's real body. Only about 10% of it's left, the rest removed a long time ago. Still, at the expense of Russian taxpayers, embalmists regularly take the body away for a touch-up. Well, the big question is, what did Lenin want? Historians say that he wanted to be buried alongside his mother in St. Petersburg. Well, the Kremlin haven't given their opinion on the matter, but many people here in Russia believe that now is the time to say goodbye to Lenin. Neve Marker, Al Jazeera, Moscow.
Now, a Russian donkey who shot to fame for all the wrong reasons last year has died. Anapka, the donkey, was the subject of international outrage when she was filmed being forced into a parachute and hoisted high into the sky. Those are the pictures we're seeing right now. Now, the incident took place in a Russian seaside resort and was the result of a parasailing business trying to draw attention to itself. Anapka was eventually rescued by a British tabloid newspaper. Her carer, though, believes that the donkey died of stress brought on by that forced flight. Now, the husband of the wounded US Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords says that he will take command of a space shuttle mission due to take off in April. Mark Kelly stopped training for the mission last month after his wife was shot in the head in Tucson, Arizona. But he says he'll resume training next week to lead Space Shuttle Endeavour's last flight. Kelly says his wife would support the decision.
Considering a bunch of other factors, including what Gabrielle would want me to do and what her parents and her family and my family would like, I ultimately made the decision that I would like to return and command STS-134.
The US and Canada have announced a new agreement to step up security at their shared border. The agreement comes days after a US government report found that only 1% of the 6,000-kilometre border is properly secured. From that border, Al Jazeera's Imtiaz Tayyab has more.
President Obama and Prime Minister Harper were all smiles after meeting in the Oval Office to discuss the idea of a North American security perimeter that would secure the Canada-US border while allowing for more open trade.
First, we agreed to a new vision for managing our shared responsibilities, not just at the border, but beyond the border. That means working more closely to improve border security with better screening, new technologies, and information sharing among law enforcement, as well as identifying threats early.
This following a report by the U.S. Government Accountability Office, which reinforced what many feared. Only 1% of the nearly 6,500-kilometer U.S.-Canadian border is actually secured.
I also think that we are often in Canada unfairly characterized as being an easy gateway for terrorists. I'm not at all sure that that's true.
But security is a matter for both sides to address. Border disputes have been a thorny issue between the two nations since the attacks of September the 11th. Some critics in the U.S. have accused Canadian security as being too lax, while in Canada there are concerns any agreement with the United States could compromise national sovereignty.
We are sovereign countries who have the capacity to act as we choose to act.
But concern over securing the border has also put a squeeze on the flow of goods, costing both sides billions. Incentive enough to commit to solutions.
With over $1 billion in trade crossing the border every single day, smarter border management is key to our competitiveness, our job creation, and my goal of doubling U.S. exports.
Managing the Canada-US border, like here in Niagara Falls, is a careful balance between trade, security, and sovereignty. One concern here is that whatever deal is reached, Canada could find itself in the position where it's handing over sensitive information about its citizens, all in exchange for freer trade with the U.S.
Concrete proposals won't arrive for months. Whatever is agreed, it will no doubt be accompanied by intense debate in Canada and the United States. Imtiaz Taib, Al Jazeera, Niagara Falls at the Canada-US border.
Brazil is considering a constitutional amendment to protect the pursuit of happiness. The country's Senate is widely expected to approve a bill that would then go on to the lower house. Supporters say that the bill is needed to guarantee social rights and address the deep divide between rich and poor. In Boston, a 1-meter-long boa constrictor has been found on a subway train. The snake had been missing for more than a month after it slithered away from its owner. A commuter spotted the reptile and alerted a train guard. Now, the snake has now been reunited with its owner. And severe snow has been affecting preparations for this weekend's American football Super Bowl that's to be played in Arlington, that's in Texas. Falling snow and ice from the roof of the Dallas Cowboys Stadium left 6 people injured. One of them is in a critical condition. And fans hoping to watch the match between the Green Bay Packers and the Pittsburgh Steelers are having trouble just getting to the venue. Around 500 flights to Dallas had been cancelled earlier in the week as the US was struck by a severe weather system that paralysed a large swathe of the country. That's it. Now let's head back to David in Doha for our continuing coverage on the events in Egypt.
Julie, thank you very much indeed for that look at what else is happening in the world. This is the picture in Tahrir Square, in Liberation Square. Not as many people as there were on Friday, but that to be expected. For many people, Saturday, not part of the holiday weekend. That is simply Friday. And of course, many people got together for Friday prayers, it being the most holy day of the week. But still, crowds there, and protesters at the moment refusing to dismantle the barricades, even though they've been asked by members of the Egyptian military to do so. Our correspondent in the square saying that the protesters are concerned that they will be put in harm's way if that happens, but the army is saying it would protect them. They don't believe that. Right, over to Imran. Imran Khan's waiting for us with a lot of what's happening elsewhere, away from your TV screens.
Thanks, David. It's interesting. You actually asked one of our guests if the protest movement felt like it was dwindling. Well, that's not the sense we're getting here on the web. Bloggers, journalists and ordinary people are still sending out their updates and messages almost every minute, it feels like. And the message is still crystal clear. Mubarak must go. But there is a sense of nervousness from some. On the microblogging site Twitter, I can sense mistrust amongst some bloggers after the pipeline explosion and the army's latest moves. Here's some of the recent updates. Bent Master tweets in Arabic, first they blow up the pipeline to say it's chaos. They will blame it on the Muslim Brotherhood and Hezbollah. And Hossam writes about the army in Tahrir Square. He says the army has deployed soldiers cordoning off protesters who are sleeping in front of the tanks from the rest of the square. And Lasto Adri hopes the message reaches the president. I hope someone tells Mubarak in his ear that this is a revolution, not a protest. Lots of videos are also being sent into us and to different websites. Here's some of the recent ones. Protesters in Tahrir or Liberation Square, get creative and give us a bit of a song. And this footage from Alexandria, it was posted on Friday, and as you can see, a young child, we believe is about 5 years old, is leading the protesters. He's chanting, "Freedom is born, Mubarak, wake up, this is your last day, and revolution till victory." Safe to say, he's going to remember this time for the rest of his life. And we've been getting a lot of images from Egypt on our Your Media site as well. Here's a selection of the photos taken in Cairo on Friday. Here a woman holds a banner that reads, "What you didn't do in 30 years, you won't do in 3 months. Leave." And here a protester wearing an Egypt t-shirt in Tahrir Square. And a woman holds a paper that looks like a car plate, and she writes Egypt and puts year 2011. The Arabic letters of the plate translate leave into English. And we're encouraging you, our viewers, to send us more of your images and videos from Egypt. The address for that is yourmedia.aljazeera.net. And of course, you can get the latest news and analysis on Egypt. You just go to our website, www.aljazeera.net/English. You can also follow our live